Guten Tag, everybody. Welcome to WWE Bash in Berlin 2024 predictions. Before we give you our predictions, though, let's go through that match card. For the World Heavyweight Championship, we've got Gunther versus Randy Orton. For the Undisputed WWE Championship, we've got Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. For the Women's Tag Team Championships, Alba, Fyre and Isla will be defending against Bianca, Belair and Jade Cargill. We've got a strap match, ladies and gentlemen, with CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. And last but not least, we've got a mixed tag team match. Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, the Terror Twins, will be taking on Liv Morgan and Dirty Dominik Mysterio. Hi, my name is Steve. I'm joined by the one and only Mr. NX Steve in-house. NX Steve, great to have you on board as always. And the first question I always like to ask you is your excitement levels for this show, Bash in Berlin.
I mean, this is kind of, for me, this kind of feels like Backlash. Like, I'm expecting a really good wrestling show, not so much a story show, because this kind of seems like, for me, it's almost like I'm waiting for this to just be done and gone so we can move on and advance some stories and move some people around on the card and get them doing other stuff. But for an excitement level wise, probably about 7, I'd say. Like, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this show quite a lot, actually. I think that there's 4 out of the 5 matches in particular I'm quite excited for. So, I mean, that's always a good start when it comes to it. I don't think every match is as predictable as maybe you might hear on some channels. You never know. But what I would say is that I do believe that, I think we're in for some exciting times here. Like I say, I think there's 2 matches in particular that I think are 50-50. We'll go through them as we go further into the show. But that leads me then to ask you what match you are most looking forward to of the lineup.
I mean, it depends on what kind of a strap match we're going to get with Drew and CM Punk. Because if it's a touch 4 corners one, then if that's the one, like, I'm kind of not really kind of looking forward to it. I think Randy, I can't really go against Randy against Gunther. I think that's going to be a killer. It's going to be just big guys beating the hell out of each other. I'm looking forward to that. And even KO versus Cody, I think there's an interesting story that can be told with that one if they do it right.
Yeah, absolutely. I can confirm it is the touch the 4 corners for the strap match. It's not the classic 1, 2, 3 in the pinfall in the center of the ring or submission style. It is the potentially the red light, green light formula that we had with Eddie Guerrero and JBL back in the day, so you know who was touching what corners. Or we could have the classic Steve Austin, Savio Vega, where it's just we just have it and we have to kind of follow it ourselves. We'll see how WWE plays it, but it is touch the corners. But I am looking forward to the strap match. I think that's going to be an interesting one. For me, I'm actually really excited for the mixed tag team match. That is the one probably the most I'm looking forward to, is the Terror Twins versus Dirty Dom and Liv Morgan. I think the storyline's been fun up to this point, and I'm intrigued to see how they're going to move it going forwards and how long-term that storyline will be as well. So that's probably the match I'm most looking forward to. But what I'm also looking forward to is seeing who is in the chat with us. So get involved nice and early and let us know you are here. Temple is in the house. Hi, guys. In the Learning Treat format there of Chris Jericho. We've got CDC Nation Dog in house as well. And of course, we have got Bobby in house as well. Hope you're all doing well. Thanks for all joining the stream. CD's given his excitement level is an 8 out of 10, which is a good one as well. I'm most excited for that strap match. There we go, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. Just before we go into matches that we do know, people that would have seen the thumbnail to this YouTube video will notice that I've put 2 extra people on here, just purely because of the fact I'm going to predict, and something different to do for predictions videos, I'm predicting a match is going to be added, whether it's on the kickoff show or whether it's during the show itself. They're both not in the States, so neither on Monday Night Raw, so they couldn't actually make a match official. But Sheamus has said that Ludvig Kaiser can have a match whenever he wants. Well, the show is in Germany, where Ludvig Kaiser is from. It's not been announced. It would make a lot of sense if you're going to do a finale match, as they're one-on-one right now, to do it in Berlin. Potentially a great way to start the night on a kickoff match, just to get the crowd hyped up. And if they did that, I think Ludvig Kaiser would pick up the victory. So, in a short version, because we don't know if it will or won't happen, I'm going to ask you, Alex Steve, yes or no, do you think it will happen? And if so, who do you think would be winning?
Yeah, I think that makes total sense. And I think, Sheamus has got to win. Like, it's that whole thing, isn't it? If you're the hometown hero, you can't exactly walk away with a victory. So I'd say Sheamus.
it has stung a lot of people when they've done these international PLEs in the last year or so. So I don't blame you for picking Sheamus at all. But that's a nice balance there for us indeed. But what we will do is we'll go into our first match in a couple of seconds. CD first over comments says it probably would be a kickoff match because Triple H likes to have 5 matches on the main card. Very well said indeed. That is a very true point, apart from obviously the big shows of the year. But we have had some kickoff matches on some of these international shows, including Elimination Chamber earlier this year. So I wouldn't be surprised to see if that was a last-minute addition. But let's forget about the ones that could be additions. Let's talk about the matches we've actually got. So let's kick things off then with the World Heavyweight Championship. The champion, the Ring General, Gunther, will be taking on Randy Orton. Of course, Randy Orton, well, when this World Heavyweight Championship was a thing back in the 2000s, the Ruthless Aggression era going into the PG era, Randy Orton was the last ever champion before it was retired, believe it or not. Of course, he retired this championship when he unified the titles at the end of 2013. Of course, he said that title means a lot to him. It's the first ever championship he won 20 years ago in 2004. Well, pretty much around this time period as well. We did it at SummerSlam. So he really wants to win this championship once again. If you go through the history of these two as well, they were both in the finals of the King of the Ring tournament earlier this year in Saudi Arabia. Gunther got the victory, although we did notice that Randy's shoulders were not on the mat. Therefore, we knew we'd get a rematch at some point further down the line. Yes, WWE draft LOL. We understand Randy's from SmackDown, but there has been an agreement made, and if he is able to win the World Heavyweight Championship, Randy Orton will be traded to Monday Night Raw. Of course, Gunther won the World Heavyweight Championship only at SummerSlam, and of course, well, in my opinion, I think this is a very appropriate first opponent for Gunther because Randy Orton is the established, is a main eventer, is someone who's seen it and done it all against someone who, let's be fair, is coming into the main event scene for pretty much feels the very first time, even though he's kind of been ready for this level for a very long time. A match I expect to main event this show, however, it's the first match we're talking about. What are your thoughts of Gunther and Randy Orton, as Gunther's made this particularly personal?
Yeah, I mean, we've normally been overly critical of WWE many times before in the past, where they do botches like this, like dodgy pinfalls, where, obviously you've got Gunther versus Randy at King of the Ring, Ronda Becky at WrestleMania, and sometimes they just never play off, and just like it kind of like it turns up on one of them videos, 10 things WWE wants you to forget about Gunther like 5 years later or whatever it is. But the thing is that I appreciate the continuity of it and the fact that they've acknowledged that the pinfall is a bit dodgy and they're redoing this. And like you said, this kind of makes this is a really good first opponent for Gunther. It's going to be someone to like a big name for him to like. First of all, make his mark and make his own mark with that world championship. And typical. As soon as I start talking, I start coughing. But yeah, like I said, it's just a very good first title defense for Gunther. The match is going to be killer. Like we know how much these two are. Obviously, Randy has all the history with that title anyway. So Gunther even put a promo out. Where was he from Raw this week as well? He was wrestling in Europe or something, wasn't he? Or was that from was it from a European tour or something? Like it was just really weird how he was just randomly somewhere else in the world wrestling.
Yeah, he's currently WWE have already started the European tour, which is going to lead and culminate with Bash in Berlin. So I believe that on the Sunday they were actually in Holland, in Rotterdam, I believe, and they've been all around that sort of area, and they will finish, I'll say, in Germany. But like you have said there, yeah, Gunther's not been around. Randy Orton was still in the States this week. Obviously, Gunther has said as well that Randy Orton is he's a screw up basically, isn't he? He's kind of said he's a bit like his father and like his grandfather, which has made things a bit personal as well. So, have you enjoyed that element of the storyline as well?
I suppose it's something new for Gunther's character, which I can appreciate. Like normally, he just kind of turns up, smiles, just beats the living hell out of someone and walks away with it. And a lot of his promos, he kind of says the same 3 or 4 things over and over again. So the fact that they've given him something other than just what he normally does, I can appreciate. Does it work? Yeah, maybe. Time will tell, I think, with this narrative for him and this creative. Like, I think depending on how his run goes, oh my God. Depending on how his run goes as champion, Yeah, I mean, it will be a time will tell kind of thing, and if it works, sure. If not, like I'm just hopefully it gets over. Like it's just one of them things, really, in it where you've got to do something to try something new, and if it works, they can just forget all about it.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, I think it's a statement with Gunther because they use the street trash stuff with Damian Priest in that program, and I think that works quite well for the storyline. It built more babyface support for Damian Priest. Obviously, it gave more heel heat for Gunther. So I kind of feel to myself that that's what they're trying to continue because Gunther's almost been a bit of a savage almost on the mic, and I think he probably needs to hold himself on his own here when it comes to the microphone because it's something we've seen a little bit of. But again, like I say, when you're in the main event level, it's a different ball game. You're expected to carry like 15-minute programs on a weekly basis on WWE programming if needed. So it's a different position to what Gunther's been in previously. And so far, I think for me, is so good. I'm really looking forward to this match. I do think this has got potential to be a match of the night candidate, like you mentioned earlier in the video, because Randy Orton is just that perfect opponent. It's good chemistry as well with a lot of his in-ring opponents. Gunther as well was a solid match previously. Gunther never has a bad match, it feels. So I'm looking forward to this one. And as I say, I think it's appropriate because of the fact that I believe Gunther is winning. Gunther will retain the championship here. This is the start of what will be at least until WrestleMania, in my opinion. I think we're in for a long reign here. And yeah, I think Gunther's going to retain the title. I think this one should be a solid one.
Yeah, I mean, I very much find it hard. I find it very hard to believe that Gunther would lose in his first title defense, even though, Randy is the third most decorated world champion in WWE history. So, I mean, do you know what I mean? There's always a chance of 3% botch, but I'm going with you. I'm going to say Gunther retains, and yeah, I mean, I can see WrestleMania being possibly the earliest place he loses it, but you never know. Obviously, time will tell.
You never know at this point, but obviously I think there's a small part you could do in the match as well, that perhaps maybe you could again do the free count with the shoulders and not on the mat. Was that something you would support? I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, not for me. I think that the fact that they did it the first time, it happened in King of the Ring, and they kind of, do you know what I mean? They've acknowledged it once. I think it's something that they really wouldn't want to do again and have it go down like that. I mean, yeah, I think it almost tarnished the match itself. And I mean, sure, unless they want to go to a third, but I want to see Gunther doing some decent storylines with people on Raw now. I mean, the draft is becoming slightly a bit jokish at the minute, where we've got so many people crossing over onto different shows. It kind of needs to start going back, especially because we're getting towards like Survivor Series, and hopefully if they maybe want to do the classic 5-on-5 Survivor Series match, the brand versus brand thing, I'd really like them to start just settling in and start using the people they have. Like, don't get me wrong, it works in some aspects, but like Pete Dunne going down to NXT, and yet being in the IC title scene on Raw is just kind of perplexing to me. Like, you're essentially putting him in someone else's spot that you could easily fill on NXT. And yeah, don't be wrong, it's just one of them things. But like, I'd say I'm just not a fan of it. I hope they'd like to ignore it, but maybe they can, I don't know, do something that maybe come Rumble time, if Gunther's still champion, or if he's lost it, or maybe even by brand split time. There's something that they can do some long-term storytelling with, and play off that narrative a little bit later. But who knows? But yeah, I mean, just while Steve's gone, let's have a look. Let's have a look at some of the comments here. Yeah, we'll see. It is rumored to be a Four Corners touch. I can't bring up the comments, unfortunately, CD, so I'm just going to have to go with what's on my screen here. You're excited for Punk versus Drew? Yeah. Kickoff show, Ludvig Kaiser. Roger Sims, I want to see Rhea Ripley wrestle Dominik Mysterio in a tag team match. Would you like to see that? I mean, to be fair, the way that they do most of their intergender stuff, it's kind of like the woman just dominates the guy and the guy doesn't ever get a punch off. So I imagine if they are going to do that, that's what we will get at some point.
Absolutely. Welcome back. Sorry about that. When you have kids, unfortunately, sometimes they wake up, and unfortunately, it's very early in the stream as well when it does happen. But hey, yeah, I mean, all in all, obviously I've missed the last couple of minutes, but I'm guessing your final prediction will be Gunther to retain.
Yeah, no, I just said that I hope that they don't do something screwy, but there is something that they can do for a story beat that they can come back to later on, maybe next year or at Rumble or something.
Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that story beat happened, just purely on the basis that, say, for example, it was Randy, by the way, they got the pinfall on Gunther, but Gunther had the shoulder up. Then actually could be a case that we had this before, we're not doing it again, we're restarting the match, and then Gunther retains the championship. It's a story beat. I wouldn't be surprised if they did it, but I would prefer that Gunther won straight up, personally.
Yeah, I mean, if this wasn't a title match, I could see that happening just for the fact that they can then change it and do a stipulation like, I don't know, something crazy like a submission match. Do you know what I mean? It's not very often we see Randy do submission matches, but it's a way that you have to get your opponent to quit, and they have to make the opponent quit, and there's no pinfalls needed. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. We'll have to see how and what way they will do this match. Zayn wants to see Randy win, but he doesn't think that he will. Booking like a market house. Hope you guys are doing well. So hometown stars have won on their turf. Rhea in Australia, Sammy in Canada. True story. But then if you look at Scotland, Drew lost, and of course Piper Niven did as well. So it doesn't have a full 100% hit, unfortunately. So that's why it's not always a good thing for those talents, but for some of those that do win, like Rhea and Sammy, that can be a good thing as well. That's why I want to see Ludvig Kaiser pick up the win should the match happen. WWE should end the brand split if they're going to do stuff like this. It does seem to be a one-off in this scenario, so at the moment I'm willing to let go.
Yeah, that was me. I was talking while you was away. I was talking about the fact that there seems to be too much into brand stuff at the minute where people are coming over from shows. So I was saying hopefully after this one, they kind of just keep the brands more separate for time, because I was saying like Pete Dunne going down to NXT is taking away someone's spot from NXT when he's in the IC title picture on Raw at the minute. So do you know what I mean? I'm just hoping that they kind of stick to their shows at the minute.
It would be nice to see. I understand it with NXT because obviously they're lacking a bit of star power at the minute, but certainly with Raw and SmackDown, it's needed to keep everyone on their show if they can do, just to keep that. I don't know, keep the brand split feeling serious. If Randy Orton wins the title, we could face Cena at WrestleMania 41 for the title, and it's Cena's last Mania. Certainly could indeed, Scarlett. Will we see a RKO out of nowhere, says Sid? Probably we will. Yeah, I would imagine at some point. C Nation says, I have to wake up early for this PLE. Well, we have to set the alarm by the looks of things there. But, hey, daytime PLE is not always a bad thing in my book. Scarlett says there's no way Randy loses this match. He's already lost many matches he could win, and then having Gunther winning it back. Interesting.
It's possible.
It's possible. Never rule anything out. 50-50 shot. Booking like a Mark says Gunther is redoing the Jack Swagger reign as World Heavyweight Champion. He's defending the title against Randy Orton pay-per-view because the former champion is busy with an ex-tag team partner. Well,
I don't like this comment just for the pure fact that the Jack Swagger has been mentioned. This I find offensive.
I think Gunther will have a better reign than Jack Swagger, though. That's one thing I would say with confidence. Sid says, I want to see NXT UK Walter versus to face Randy Orton. Technically, in one way, you will do. He's still the same wrestler, just not the same name. Scott says, there's no way that Gunther retains. C Nation says, there are guarantees in life. Death, taxes, and Gunther always has a long title reign. I like that, CD. It's a very good comment. And Scott said the same thing there again now on that second comment. But Ludvig Kaiser interferes in Randy Orton versus Gunther. Certainly, I think he'll introduce Gunther to the ring. It's certainly a possibility he could get involved as well. Of course, there's been a Kaiser Orton match on Raw in the meantime. Zayn just wants to see WWE versus TNA Survivor Series 5-on-5 elimination match. Never say never. And CD says Ludvig Kaiser should not help Gunther's retain the World Heavyweight Championship. It should be clean so Gunther can have a clean victory over Randy Orton. It certainly would clear up this feud in the best possible way, having a clean finish. Absolutely agree indeed.
Yeah, it has to. So it just has to get rid of that dodgy pinfall from King of the Ring.
Yeah, they need to get rid of that. Need to close the book, and this is the perfect place to do so. So, should we move on to our next match?
Go for it.
Let's do it. Let's not waste any time. We're going to move from one championship to another. We're going to talk about the Undisputed WWE Championship. Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, defending against Kevin Owens. Of course, well, Cody pretty much handpicked his opponent here. He said that Kevin Owens was the guy that he thought should be facing for the championship, and Kevin Owens kind of said, well, I don't think it should be me. It's not that he doesn't want the championship. It's just the fact that if you look at his win-loss record over the last few years, it's not anything really to write home about. Kevin Owens doesn't really deserve a championship match in his opinion. And if you look at the records, kind of true. The only thing is, Cody bigged up on how good Kevin Owens has been and the fact that he's been facing the bloodline for the last 4 years and pretty much sacrificing his own career for the greater good and also looking out for the likes of a Cody Rhodes. So KO deserves this spot. And to be fair, Nick Aldis thought so as well. So the match was made. And of course, then simply comes the question, well, Kevin Owens against a friend. We all know how that usually ends. Kevin Owens usually turns on that friend, usually turns bad in the process. So that's kind of the story we've got going on here into the beat. Have you enjoyed the storyline we've had here? Will Kevin Owens turn on? How will they coexist?
Do you know what I actually really liked most about this was the Grayson Waller video package where it showed every single person he turned against and even had like Jericho, because I thought that was like, that is like the fact that they used Jericho one is great because, you know, just shows that then people know he exists as a person, so why not use it? But yeah, I just helped. I actually appreciate it's actually helped play a lot more into the story. But for me, the actual biggest point is what's going on outside of the ring with this one, because apparently it's come out today that KO's contract is up a lot earlier than the start of 2025. So my worry is that if I'm like, spoiler, well, here's an early prediction for it. Cody, I reckon, will retain. Depending on what happens, if we don't get a proper Kevin Owens heel turn, is this a sign that Kevin is 1 foot out the door? Do you know what I mean? Because he's like, as he said, he's not currently signed a new contract, and that's my biggest worry. Because I really like Kevin Owens, and I'd really like to see him stay in WWE. He does deserve a lot better, though. He does deserve to be a world champion, but just depending on how the booking goes, unless we get a proper heel Kevin Owens, or if it just turns out to be friend versus friend, and that's how it is by the end of the match. Do you know what I mean? I seriously worry for Kevin Owens staying in WWE.
Well, I'll jump in first on this one because I think the storyline's been fine. A month ago when this storyline started, before all the heel turn stuff kicked in, I put a short out saying, I actually think this is a good idea for Kevin Owens to turn heel, actually turn his back on the idea of, look, I've been fighting the bloodline for 4 years. It's time to focus on myself. You've woke me up and, you know, I'm the prize fighter and I fight for the prizes. Doesn't get the job done on Cody, but then turns on Cody after the match, and it can prolong the feud, make a proper storyline, keeps Cody occupied until we're ready to add someone else from the bloodline back into it. For example, maybe Cody gets involved in War Games in the bloodline scenario, but judging on what's going on WWE TV right now, Solo's already called his shot for the winner of this match, which makes you think this is going to be one and done. We're heavily teasing that KO is going to turn heel here with, like you said, the Grayson Waller video package. Second, the way that SmackDown closed, because Owens had the championship up, I think was behind Cody Rhodes, and instead looked like he was going to go for Cody, but actually brushed past him to go for Grayson Waller on the ring apron. It just feel like, for me, there's all these teasers, and actually this is going to be a time that Kevin Owens doesn't turn heel. Cody's simply going to retain the championship, and we're going to move on.
Like, it sounds good, but like I said, like, do you know what I mean? I'm just kind of worst case scenario, and I'm thinking like 3-4 months down the line, and Kevin Owens leaves WWE and goes to AEW, and I'm like, oh man, like, gutted, because it's another person that I really want to see in WWE. I want to see it like WrestleMania. I want to see in Royal Rumbles, and like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just a preference thing, really. Like I said, I hope he stays, man. And do you know what I mean? I hope WWE pull out all the stops and give him like a check with a lot of zeros on the end of it. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, like I said, back to the wrestling itself. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it almost sounds like he shouldn't turn, and that's the point of the story they may be trying to tell, and it's going to be fun to see. I don't know. Like I said, I think there's probably obviously there's a bigger story to come out of this match afterwards, depending on what they do with KO. So it'll be fun to see. But yeah, my prediction is Cody retains.
Absolutely. I hope KO stays in WWE as well. I'm a big KO fan, one of my favorites in WWE, but I would agree that I'd like to see, if he sticks around, I want to see a change of booking direction, because KO's kind of been that guy that flounders between the mid-card and the sort of upper main event echelon. He can flirt with the main event, but he's never seen as a serious threat when he gets there. And I want to see the prize fighter. I want to see heel Kevin Owens, and I want to see him on a show that he feels like he could win a world title. If that means in future he's not on the show that features Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, then so be it, because in that way, KO has a believable factor of winning a world title again. And I think that's what we need to see at some point in 2025 if he re-signs. But time will tell on it.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't get Sammy versus KO for a world title at WrestleMania at some point, it'll almost feel like it'll be another one to add to the we didn't get it matches. You know what I mean?
We've already got 2 of those, and we're 2 matches into the video. So, I mean, like, it shows that there was a lot riding on what they could do here with the booking today and what they could do with the futures of certain superstars. But let's go into the comments anyway. Zane says, will Kevin Owens turn heel in the match? I've said no. NXT, for you to clarify, would he turn heel or not?
Do you know what? I'm going to say yes, just for the fact that it's what Kevin Owens does.
It's usually what he does. And C-Nation is right here. Kevin Owens should turn heel. Can't win any singles championships as a babyface. It was a very good shout indeed. But Kevin Owens only apologizing to Kofi Kingston is funny. It was very funny. I did enjoy the moment of SmackDown that Kofi was the only guy that didn't deserve to be turned on. Ray doesn't think that Kevin Owens will leave WWE, which is good to see. Good sign there. C-Nation says, I would like to see Kevin Owens beat LA Knight to win the United States Championship next year. He deserves to be a singles champion again. US title, not a bad shout either. But he says Kevin Owens is more likely to win a World Heavyweight Championship. I do not see him ever being WWE champion. Sad, but I actually think that could be very true.
I mean, look, man, anything's possible. Like, there's so many people throughout the years that have been WWE champion that you never expected to win that title. And hey, let's not forget he was Universal champion, so he was the first ever Universal champion. So, I mean, I'm more positive about it just for the fact that Triple H is booking it. I think if Vince was obviously still in charge, yeah, I totally agree with that. But I think Triple H knows, and Triple H he generally treats them a lot better than what Vince has ever done. So I think there still is a possibility he could win a WWE championship.
Fingers crossed. Booking like a mark, I like this comment a lot here. He says, could the Cody Rhodes Kevin Owens match tell a similar story to MJF and Adam Cole from last year's All In? We wait for a turn. That doesn't happen. That's exactly what I think is going to go down, but I like the comparison a lot.
Yeah, it's a good shout, actually. I didn't think of it like that.
Very well thought of indeed. We'll move on in the meantime. We'll go to match number 3 on the card, which is going to be for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn defending against Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Of course, Bianca and Jade did lose those tag team championships at Clash at the Castle earlier this year in Scotland. Of course, that's when Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn won them. However, they pinned Shayna Baszler, of course, who was in there with Zoe Stark, Pure Fusion Collective, whatever they're called, Pure Fusion Collective. I still can't get my tongue around it, and that's why I purposely tried to do it on air for you there. Yeah, obviously, one thing we've learned though since then is that Bianca and Jade are actually useless in triple threat matches. They didn't win their Money in the Bank qualifiers either. However, they're back on track in the tag team division and have been winning some matches. They now got their rematch here. Finally, it seems, for the tag team titles after they were after there was a disqualification at the one pre-SummerSlam. So to have the match here one more time at this show, quick and early from me, I'm suggesting that we're going to get a title change. I think it's time for Bianca and Jade to win these titles once again.
Oh, I see. I'm going to spoil the party here, and I'm going to say that they don't. I reckon this is the start of them two breaking up and one of them turning on the other. I think these two not getting the job done here. Maybe it happens at Bash, maybe not. Maybe they wait till SmackDown. Do you know what I mean? But I think that them not winning these titles back actually makes it more believable that they're going to split these two up there and they're finally going to push them to single stars again.
So the thing is, for me, I actually like what you're saying there, because it's something as a discussion, but I would like to say about this match, because if you take it aside, it's when that breakup is going to happen with Bianca and Jade, not if. The reason I have said to myself at the moment that I think that they'll win these tag team titles is because I think the match will happen at WrestleMania. We've gone past SummerSlam. Trying to think of a PLE that would be appropriate for these two to have their singles match beforehand. You could do Royal Rumble, but I think they both will be in the Rumble match. So that's why I've got them to win the titles. But however, should there be a different direction for Bianca and Jade at WrestleMania? So, for example, Bianca versus Charlotte, which was meant for this year's WrestleMania before Charlotte picked up her injury, then it does make sense for them to do the turn now. So you think the turn would be better suited now?
Yeah, I think that, or you don't even have the turn, you start the beginnings of the turn. So them being unable to win back these tag team titles is where we start seeing the first bit of friction between these two, and we build to that point where eventually one of them turns on the other. hopefully Bianca turns on Jade.
I like what you're saying. I could be persuaded to change my prediction here. I could be persuaded, but I'll stick with Bianca and Jade for this video. Let's go into the comments then, shall we? See, this just says Bianca and Jade Cargill have made the women's tag team championships prestigious again. Certainly a lot more than what they were being treated before. It's another reason why I think they probably should win them back just for now, because of the fact that it had slid off PLEs without them as champions. It's funny that these titles now are back on PLEs now that Bianca and Jade are challenging for them again. But it just as well, I can't imagine another PLE for the rest of the year without Bianca Belair on the card. So in a way, that's another reason why I see that here. But we'll see what will go down. Sid says, do you see any returns or debuts? I hope Charlotte Flair returns in Berlin. To be honest, I don't on this show. I don't really think of it at the moment as any surprises or returns.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone aside from like Charlotte Flair or Alexa Bliss. I don't see a point for them to return. Plus, as much as like it'd be good for the European crowd to get something like that, they tend to say these kind of things for the American crowds.
Yeah, I think it's something that will be saved for Raws and SmackDown. So I will say no to returns at this particular moment. CD says Bianca and Jade will win the Women's Tag Team Championships here. Sid asking if we collect wrestling figures. He hasn't collected since he was a kid. Neither have I, unfortunately.
I do because I'm a loser. I'm not a loser, but dude, do you know what it is? I collect certain ones. I collect like my favorites, like Warrior, even though he's a bad wrestler. But like as a kid, he's on my Mount Rushmore, man. But yeah, I have a few niche ones, but I'm not like I've seen them guys on TikTok who clearly have way too much dispendable income. Then they just buy every single one. I'm like, oh my god, no, never. That's way too much.
I don't know where they keep them all. That's what I wonder. It just seems like a lot to handle. Do you know what I mean? There's a collection these days, but hey, fair play to those that do. See, she says, I believe Charlotte Flair is facing Tiffany Stratton for the Women's Championship at WrestleMania 41. That's a strong prediction there. I like that CD a lot. Zane says that Jade Cargill was not a good wrestler, doesn't know why WWE has signed her. They clearly see something about her. There's some star power in there with Jade Cargill. I would say that undeniably. There hasn't been always, let's say, flawless matches on PLE so far, but she's still new to the game. Remember that a lot of people that we see that go through NXT or go through, other promotions have like 15, 20 years experience. Jade is kind of someone that, has been on screen in front of our very eyes since the very beginning. She's had less than 100 matches.
Yeah, you said this the last time when someone brought this up, the fact that the majority of her AEW run was squash matches against, well, essentially just all squash matches, which is kind of like, it's really hard to see what she's like going 15, 20 minutes in the ring. And the old occasion she did have a 15, 20-minute match. She looked good. She has a look. She has a persona. She has an appeal. Do you know what I mean? There's a reason why WWE signed her. And that's why they're sticking with Bianca, because if you're going to put them with anyone, Bianca Belair is a pretty good person to put her with. Do you know what I mean? She might be a little bit green still, but you know what I mean? Time improves everyone. Look, dude, I've seen people like CJ Perry, who I thought, or Lana, she used to be called, she was a terrible wrestler, and eventually she actually did become quite good and could actually carry a match. So yeah, just give them time, man.
There's star quality there with Jade Cargill. It's just needing to come out and be shown to everybody, and I think it will do given a bit of time. CD still collects wrestling figures too, which is good to see. So you're not alone there, Nick Steve. We'll move on in the meantime then to match number 4. We're getting through these quite quickly today. We've got the strap match for CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. Now, of course, Drew did pick up the victory over CM Punk at SummerSlam, and this led to CM Punk attacking Drew McIntyre after Drew was gloating with Drew McIntyre's belt, if I'm not mistaken. Certainly was with a belt anyway. It was being whipped around ringside. It didn't take too long after that for CM Punk to put the challenge out for a strap match. Drew McIntyre has happily obliged and said pretty much he's going to annihilate CM Punk with the strap. Now, obviously, this is match number 2 in the series. I don't think it's any surprise to anybody that there are rumors that match number 3 is going to take place at Bad Blood. There are rumors that potentially it could be a certain steel structure that could be involved for said finishing match. I suppose the question would be, does it make more sense for CM Punk to pick up the victory here, or does it make more sense for Drew McIntyre to be 2-0 over CM Punk in this strap match?
I mean, logically, you would think they'd like to even it up, but I don't. This feud isn't kind of like a feud that needs to be best 2 out of 3. This is kind of like, at the end of the day, Punk wants the bracelet back, and I think if Drew wins, that has to technically push this to a third match at, for example, Bad Blood, which is kind of the reason why Drew should probably win this one.
See, this is the thing that's quite funny, because when you look at how they were the previous week on Raw, it felt like CM Punk had the advantage of the last 2, but we only saw we did see CM Punk on Raw this past week. Forget me for a second there. CM Punk made the attack, didn't he, on Drew McIntyre after Drew was spilling on the mic. So CM Punk is the one that's had the advantage going in here. Usually we flip reverse it, because that's usually what WWE likes to do with the storytelling. So Drew McIntyre should be the one picking up the victory. And like you said, though, WWE likes to play the storyline one-on-one, and then it uses the decider. But I like the point you made there, is the fact that this is a feud where, if CM Punk gets his bracelet back, well, this is sort of done. So unless CM Punk wins and then he gets the bracelet, and just as he's about to leave, Drew McIntyre attacks him again, whether it's strap or no strap, and gets the bracelet back and leaves ringside with the bracelet still, to still lead to a third match, I would agree with you that Drew McIntyre should win this match.
I mean, logic depicts that Drew should win this just from the basis of height, strength, power, physique. And all you essentially have to do is touch 4 corners before your other opponent. Drew is a bigger, stronger guy, so technically he should just drag CM Punk around this ring. So logically, he should win this match. I mean, yeah, it's actually, like, surprisingly enough, so a lot of people probably sat there and thought, yeah, CM Punk's just going to win this just to tie this up. But I don't know, man. Like I said, I think if Drew wins this, he's kind of like... It's kind of like, if Punk's just going to keep getting knocked down. He's going to keep getting down, knocked down, and he's just going to keep getting back up until he essentially gets that one hit where he finally wins. And that's what I think is a lot more interesting with this one than kind of, let's just even it up and then go for a third match. And whatever happens, like, they're completely still avoiding the whole CM Punk Seth Rollins thing. So regardless, we are getting a third match of whoever wins this. So I just think, out of interest, though, I'm going to say Drew wins. I think Drew's going to pick this up, and it's going to cause Punk to go to even more desperate measures. When you say steel structure, do you mean Hell in a Cell, or are you talking steel cage? What are you talking about? Hell in a Cell?
Hell in a Cell.
So I'm trying to think logically how you would spin it from going from a strap match to a Hell in a Cell, but that regardless. Yeah, I mean, I think more interesting. I think it's more interesting if Drew wins this one.
Yeah, I think it's more interesting as well if Drew wins it. And I'm not going to lie, you said CM Punk gets knocked down, gets back up again. For me, I've just got Chumbawamba in my head.
Chumbawamba.
Yeah, that is the one that's covered my head now. Feel free to sing along at home if you know the words. I think that, as I said, Punk could win this match and Drew still could get the bracelet and walk away. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the finish to do the 1-1, but I'm agreeing with you. I'm going Drew McIntyre as well. I think this is a feud that doesn't need a one-on-one. It needs Drew to have walked away, because Drew won on a technicality of Seth last time as well. So it would be nice for Drew to get the win as Drew, and then we take this to Hell in a Cell. Personally, for me, if this is going to go to another round of a PLE, so another few weeks of storytelling, the only way I think this could be done to finish things off is I would like to see Drew remain keeping the bracelet, but B, I want to get to the inner core of why Drew McIntyre really hates CM Punk. Yes, we've heard he's a hypocrite. Yes, we've heard all this other stuff, but what we don't know is what Drew experienced when Punk was there 10, 12 years ago. He said that, I looked for CM Punk for guidance and all the rest of it. Is it simply the fact that CM Punk just walked away, or is there more to it than that? We just need to know that inner detail of what young Drew was going through. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely, man. That'll just do a home invasion angle, because they're always good for fun. You know what I mean? And always have Punk break into Drew's house, man. Have Drew do the same thing, and AJ's there. Do you know what I mean? What a great way to make AJ a little cameo appearance, man. And, like, you can have Larry the dog, but no, like, excuse my goofball ideas. No, yours makes total idea. Like, you're right that you haven't gone. Like, it'd be kind of stupid for them to not pay off what that reason is. So it sounds the most logical, which again plays back to the prediction, which is why Drew should really win this match.
Drew should win. That's what we're going to stick with. Drew should win, and we think he will win. But hey, as for home invasions, does Punk go into Scotland count for Clash at the Castle?
Yeah, kind of true. Yeah, it would only be. Where is? Oh, it's in Atlanta, isn't it? So, how far is Atlanta from Chicago? Do we know?
Illinois to Georgia comments. Those from the States help two brothers out, will you? We'll go to you in the meantime. But let's have a look and see what the comments are saying. C Nation says CM Punk wins here. You can't have CM Punk lose again because you can't do a trilogy and then again have he says then again Cody Rhodes actually did beat Seth Rollins 3-0 in their trilogy, which is true. So it does have moments where it is completely one-sided. Zane, just quickly going to NXT. I don't think he's too bothered about the strap match. Says would like to say chase you on the main roster and wishes that Fyre would win the NXT Women's title. CD wants to know when we'll do another Q&A. Very soon, CD. This week is a bit busy. Next week, probably more likely, I would say, at this stage. CD also says that CM Punk hasn't won a match since his return, so that's why I think CM Punk wins here too. Almost feels me feel like just it backs up our argument in a way, though, because the fact that CM Punk has not won a match yet still would make him even more desperate to do so, and that would also make him feel like we're going to have to go to hell for me to get that win.
That's what you're building for now. Is that CM Punk win, and if you put him inside Hell in a Cell, you get some color in there. That CM Punk win is going to be just. You know what I mean, it's going to be when he finally gets it. It's just going to be amazing. Like, I think Drew should win here, man. For me personally, I just think Drew needs that win. I think it pushes the story into the next into the final third of the film. Do you know what I mean? That's what we're getting to now with this story. And it's now time for the hero who's been finally had the absolute shit out of him to now stand back up, come after Drew, get that win, stand victorious at the end of the film, hold his bracelet above his head, covered in claret. It'll be great.
Yeah. Totally agree with that 100%. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button, share with a friend, and subscribe as well. Near 2,500 subs, so just 12 away. Would love to hit that milestone, and the likes really do help the algorithm on YouTube. Roger says we'd like to see a bracelet on a pole match. Whoever wins the bracelet match. Do you know what? I mean, it's very, very, very Vince Russo-esque, but yeah, it's better than Viagra on a pole, I guess.
Yeah, I was thinking they could do. Do you remember when Rock threw Austin's title into the river? We could do Drew throwing the bracelet into the river, but he hasn't actually. It's just a random bracelet. But just to watch you drive CM Punk crazy, he's like Punk's in the arena and they've just got Drew somewhere out on a bridge. But you see your bracelet, she just launches it out into a river somewhere.
I need to see that. That would be a lot of fun. Just to see the heartbreak, indeed. Let's go to our final match that we're going to discuss then on this video for Bash in Berlin. It is a mixed tag team match. We've got the Terror Twins, Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest, going against Liv Morgan and Dirty Dominik Mysterio of the New Judgment Day. So, yeah, the New Judgment Day is officially a thing.
What were they originally called?
Street Trash, they were going to be called at one point. Yeah, thankfully that didn't get through. Luckily,
that was Finn Balor's idea. Don't let Finn Balor book in the future.
Always the prince, never the king. That's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, the Terror Twins, though, much preferring that name. That definitely that's quite good for me. I'll live with that. But I mean, obviously, I really like the way this match was put together. Obviously, Rhea being in the ring, and obviously the explanation from Dominik Mysterio, how, mostly being upset that Rhea was rationing his chicken tendies rather than, and Liv lets him have as much as he wants, can play as much PlayStation as he wants. But so that's pretty much, I think, a lot of the gist there. Dom, you're becoming a real man, my son. But obviously, the moment then when Rhea said, well, you've been talking long enough, and Damian Priest was just standing behind him, was a really fun moment. The mixed tag team match was made for Bash in Berlin, but since then, Obviously, there's a big beatdown. The numbers have been into the advantage of the Judgment Day. This past week, though, it felt like Rhea and Damian did seem to get the better of the Judgment Day on the go-home show. Something to keep an eye out potentially for the prediction. But I think, obviously, the key component here is the fact that, yes, Liv and Dom are in the tag team match. That's mainly Rhea's problem right now. Damian Priest's problem seems to be Finn Balor after SummerSlam, of course. So it's going to be interesting to see if Balor will be a factor. It may not be good at coming up with group names, but certainly could be quite impactful when it comes to a result at a PLE.
Yeah, I mean, this is another one that kind of plays off the last match. Like, although it kind of makes sense for Rhea and Priest to get a win here, I mean, ultimately, Rhea wants that title back off of Liv. And then, obviously, like you just said, Priest is going to want to go after Finn afterwards. And, like, I'm like, obviously, Dom is kind of like the third wheel in this sort of equation. And I'm kind of trying to work out, like, this is one of, like, I don't know who, how, why, or when wins this. Because, like, it should, like, obviously, I think in the last 2 weeks, they've kind of, like, the Terror Twins have had their backsides handed to them, didn't they? I think last week they ended up on the mat getting the actual stuffing kicked out of them. But yeah, I don't know, man. It seems like quite a hard one to decide. Like the fact that, again, I think if you have them win, does that mean that Rhea should automatically be entitled to her rematch with Liv? Does Priest then finally get a shot at Finn? I mean, and the fact that Finn and Jade are tag team champions at the minute, I don't know. It seems kind of weird. Like, I don't know. Like, it almost feels like we should be doing JD and Finn versus Rhea and Damian for the tag team titles after this. So this is a really weird dynamic, and like, I think at some point we do want to see a one-on-one between Rhea and Dominik as well. So if, when, why, what, who, why, I don't know, man. This is a really strange one for me.
For me, I think the match makes a lot of sense. And I did the match card predicted. I do it always at the start of every cycle of PLEs. And I had Liv and Finn, but I did say, because Dominik had been injured, I didn't know if Dominik could logically be someone that could be in the spot if it wasn't Finn Balor, because obviously, like you said, the direct feuds are Priest and Balor, Ripley and Morgan. But having the couple, for me, does actually make more sense. The fact that Dominik is here because it's the new Lovebirds. Liv has again helped Dominik beat his deadbeat dad Rey Mysterio again this past week on Raw, of course, in the 8-man tag team match. So Liv is giving Dom everything he wants and he needs. If you look at this match on paper, you can't bet against the Terror Twins. You can't. I mean, Ripley and Priest are two of the biggest stars in the company. It's hard to bet against them. And like you say, Dominik Mysterio is sitting right there. And as C Nation has said, Rhea Ripley should at least hit a finish on Dirty Dominik Mysterio. And to be fair, he should be wrapped up like a pretzel as well, just like everyone else usually is. But this new Judgment Day, it depends how WWE wants to look at them. How serious are they going to be? How long-term is this storyline going to play out? Is Rhea and Liv going all the way to WrestleMania? Is Priest and Balor going all the way to WrestleMania? Or is this going to be concluded by, say, Survivor Series? Because if it's concluded by Survivor Series, then the babyfaces need to pick up the victory here. If you want to establish the heels, the new Judgment Day, as being a force in WWE, then in my opinion, Finn Balor should, and he will be at ringside, the new Judgment Day should be winning this match, leaving Ripley and Priest need to get revenge on a different date. Potentially Bad Blood again being a very appropriate PLE name for the next show.
Yeah, I mean, even like, again, if you have the Judgment Day win, you almost have to, this is the same as like Jade and Bianca, you almost have to kind of force a divide between Rhea and Priest at this point, because like you said, they are the two of the biggest stars. They are quite an unstoppable force when you put them together. So it almost feels like those two need something between them that almost, like I said, almost drives a wedge between them. And yeah, I mean, again, like you just perfectly summed it up, really. It depends on what they want to do with the booking. I mean, for me, I'm trying to think on the rest of my show now. Gunther winning, Cody winning. I've got Isla Dawn retaining, and I've got Drew winning. So it's a really, like, I'm just trying to think, like, you know, keep the crowd happy, have these two win. I mean, I suppose if you have the Terror Twins win, I'm gonna go with the Terror Twins to win, just because then it gives them incentive there. We've got our wins over you as a tag team. Now Priest wants Finn, and now Rhea wants Liv. I'm gonna go with that. It's quite a hard one.
The thing is, I think the next step from this is Rhea versus Liv. So in a way, you can do that either way. But I would, if I had my fantasy booking head on, I would love Priest to be the reason, Finn Balor to be the reason that Priest and Ripley do not get the job done. And if it's, say, for example, that Dominik Mysterio pins Rhea Ripley, it's a mixed tag team match. I don't know if it's the full intergender rules, but let's just say something like that happens, or something will roll up, or I don't know. It's a 2-on-1 with Dom and Liv against Rhea. So Liv is then protected for another few weeks as champion, and Rhea then has a match against Dominik Mysterio at Bad Blood. That's what I want to see, 1-on-1, and then we can see Dominik fold like a pretzel. Then we can move on to Crown Jewel, and that's when we can do Rhea versus Liv. Potentially Priest versus Balor could be done around the same time period as well. However, it's hard to bet against Ripley and Priest. This is the problem. I'm having trouble on this one. But I'm going to be different to you. I'm going to stick my neck out and say Liv Morgan and Dominik Mysterio. I'm going to say true love wins, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm a lover at heart, and I think that love should win.
I love the way you suggested that. Maybe like, again, putting your booking head on. Priest ultimately runs off Finn out the back, and you are in that 2-on-1 situation. Dominik and Liv ultimately beat Rhea. But then for Rhea to have a shot, she wants a 1-on-1 against Dom. If she beats Dom, she gets her match against Rhea for the world title. Which, in that way, you could still do Priest versus Finn. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then, for laughs, she can stick chicken tendies in his mouth, smack him in the mouth, and you just see tendies shoot out across the ring. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll still stick with the Terror Twins, but I do like. I'm glad someone picked the Liv and Dom to win.
Yeah, let's go Liv and Dom. I'm going to stick my neck out. I'm going to go for that one. But so that's our predictions there. So let's go into the comments and see what you are all saying. And if you got anything else you want to say as well, we'll try and get it through in the next 10 minutes or so. Going back to the last match we had, Booking Like a Mark says Drew should win. Punk will win. Keywords there. Honestly, this one's a 50-50 for me. So even though we've gone with Drew, wouldn't be surprised. Been asked about Impact at TNA, I should say. I won't say Impact Wrestling there. TNA Emergence predictions. They will be coming this week. I'd almost forgotten about them, but they will be dropping at some point, even if it's in a short. Street Tash, why did Finn Balor think that was a good idea? CD, I've got no idea, my friend. CD says that Finn Balor helps Dirty Dominik Mysterio and Liv Morgan win. That's his prediction. Isaac, sorry to hear that you were upset earlier on today. Hope you are doing better now, but thank you for joining us. Hope you're keeping well and hope your day has got better as it's gone on. Also, CD has said that Rhea Ripley should at least get a finish on Dirty Dom. I think we may see that in the match regardless, so it will be a fun spectacle nonetheless. Finn Balor and JD have been booked as Bad World Tag Team Champions. Certainly, they're not defending them. He also thought that Sami Zayn and Jey Uso were going for the World Tag Team Championships, but now Jey Uso is going for the IC title. Yeah, it's kind of shifted focus. Sami Zayn looks to be taking some time off for the time being, so they're giving Jey Uso to go for the IC title, and Jey Uso should be doing something because Rikishi wants Jey Uso to move to AEW. Very weird podcast censor there. Don't worry, Jey Uso will be booked just fine. Give it time, Rikishi. Roger says, what match are we least looking forward to watching? A bit harsh, Roger, but I suppose if I had to put my pick on one of them, I suppose it's the women's tag team match, but that's just due to probably the least build of the 4 matches, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's less on the lines, really. And like I said, unless they decide to start the beginnings of the split, do you know what I mean? It's just a tag team title match at the end of the day. There's no filler for it. It's just a wrestling match at the end of the day. There's no story, which is ultimately you and me are kind of the same. We tend to look for the same thing. So if there had been a bigger story, then do you know what I mean? But harshly, I'd say yeah, probably the same.
Probably that one at the moment. If not, I'll say Kaiser versus Sheamus, just because it's not been announced yet. What time does Bash in Berlin start? 6 p.m. UK time, which means 7 p.m. in European time zones. For the States, that means 1 p.m. Eastern, and that also means 10 p.m. 10 a.m. Pacific.
Is that pre-show starts at 6 p.m.?
No, it's the main show. So I don't know if it's 1 hour, 2 hour pre-shows.
I'm going to miss all of that show because I'm going to be at work Saturday.
It is at a bad time zone. Just to say, the review will be later than usual, by the way. I will give you a shout up on that now. It will not be possible to be done this weekend. So looking to drop a review for Bash in Berlin, probably for No Mercy as well. Probably be dropping for you next Monday or next Tuesday. At the moment, more likely Tuesday. Cena's just says, Dominik Mysterio should pin Rhea Ripley after Liv Morgan does all the work. Will not be a bad shout for that. Rhea Ripley has created the monster that was Dirty Dominik Mysterio, and he was the one to turn on her. Absolutely, indeed. And Sid asking, was we happy that Ricochet is in AEW? Well, I'm happy he's turned up somewhere. I mean, obviously, I suppose he didn't want to confront Bron Breakker anymore, but no, in all seriousness, happy he's in AEW, and looking forward to that Wood Ospreay match.
Yeah, I just wish they'd booked him a bit better, like Casino Gauntlet match. Again, very strange match and strange rules. Like, it almost was kind of underwhelming for him. Like they did nothing to make him feel special because essentially he got a Royal Rumble entrance as his debut.
Yeah, hopefully now.
I say that AJ Styles' debut was in a Rumble, so hopefully it just gets better for him.
I think it will get better for him, but CD does feel you get lost in the shuffle. I think it will start well. As I say, I think we've got the match with Carl Fletcher will take place this upcoming Wednesday on Dynamite. Maybe they'll find something then to do for All Out as well. But then I think Ricochet versus Ospreay will be the match. We'll get a Wrestle Dream, and Will Ospreay wants to bring out the old Ricochet pre-WWE. So interesting to see what that will be. But
I tell you what. On that note, I did see some of his stuff, and I was like, you sent me a video, and I was like, where has this Ricochet been? Because, like, the stuff he was doing in, like, Lucha Underground and ROH and Guerrilla Pro Wrestling, I was like, dude, he's never done any of this stuff. He's always been kind of, like, I don't know, almost reserved and held back, and, like, I like the stuff he did in NXT.
I think that's usually the case, though. The WWE style, they do hold back a bit because, it's a lot of grueling schedule. If they do certain things, they do them every single day and every single night. It takes its toll on the body. So I think it's a bit more of a caution style promotion, unless it comes to like the big moments and the big shows, for example, like a big PLE, for example. But Sid asking, why did you think WWE I guess didn't want to keep Ricochet? I think Ricochet chose not to re-sign. Why would they want to keep Ricochet? He's a very good talent, but he chose not to re-sign with the company, so that's the reason why he's now in All Elite Wrestling. But that's all from us anyway. Thank you for watching us for Bash in Berlin predictions, and if you've enjoyed the video, please do hit that like button. It sounds a bit boring for me to keep asking it, but it really helps the algorithms on this channel. So yeah, if you do that, we'll get this video out to further people. Share with a friend, subscribe as well, and drop a comment if anything we've not covered in this video you'd like to discuss in the comments below. I'm happy to answer every comment, and I'll just tell you a little bit of what's coming up on the channel as well this week. CD, thank you for the kind words for saying great stream. And of course, CD, I know you always hit that like button. You are certainly very loyal when it comes to this channel. Thank you as always. It's always very much appreciated. But coming up on the channel tomorrow, you can look forward to No Mercy predictions. That's right, NXT No Mercy 2024. The match card predictions will be on this channel. Myself and Steve will be here for that. On Thursday, you see this video, which is going to be something a bit different, predicting the location of WWE PLEs in 2025. I've got my passport ready. Is your passport ready? Where are we meeting in 2025? Looking forward to dropping that one on Thursday. And of course, if you want to see videos that are already on the channel, then I recommend checking out every AEW signing from WWE Ranked. That's myself and NXT going through that one. And there's also, I've not got the thumbnail to put on screen for you, but there is AEW All Out match card predicted. That's available as well. Big thanks to everyone that's been in the chat for us in this video, and thank you for all your lovely comments as well. You've kept us busy over the last hour. And of course, the man next to me, NXT, big thank you as always to being a part of this stream.
Dude, always a pleasure. I look forward to being back here tomorrow, and then obviously back here next week as well.
We're looking forward to it indeed. Enjoy Bash in Berlin, and I've got one thing left to say. Auf Wiedersehen. Take care. We'll see you soon.